Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hi, I'm Skippy, and today I'm very excited. Finally, the weather's good enough, and I'm actually going to get to test fly the Guillow Spitfire RC conversion that you may have seen I recently did. Okay, we're here. I'm going to put the battery in, take that off, have a fiddle around. Make sure the transmitter's switched on. It is. Wind is still looking pretty good. A bit of a fiddle to start with. That synchronize. Okay, this is the worst bit. Always the launch. I hate the launch. You can hear the AS3X working. Don't want to give it too much throttle. Into wind. Wind is looking good. Very twitchy. Looks alright. Okay, so that didn't quite go as I'd hoped, but if you look, then actually the airplane itself is in pretty good condition. It's just a bit of a wobbly wing, so I guess I'll just have to try and fix that. Yeah, that was a bit disappointing. Hi, good morning. Well, as you saw from earlier in this video, the Maiden for the Spitfire didn't go very well, unfortunately. Yesterday when I got it home, obviously we'd seen that it had snapped the wing at some point, so I had a look at it, turned it upside down. Easiest way to see what was probably broken was to take the tissue off. When looking inside, I was actually very fortunate. The leading edge had just come away where it's butt jointed to the fuselage piece, the centre section of the wing, and it looked like, well, no, it didn't look like, the actual vinyl wing brace had also broken, the wing spar had also broken. Fortunately, this looked like it was going to be easy to fix, so I used a small piece of carbon fibre. I cut a slot into the leading edge of the wing and the centre section. I glued the carbon fibre piece in place to give it a little bit more rigidity and probably a better join, and perhaps that's something I should do for all future butt joints on those leading edges of these models. And with the vinyl spar piece, I cut a solid piece of balsa, 2 shapes, undid it down to shape, then glued that in place. And let that set. I then covered it in tissue, usual way, sprayed it. I used black tissue so I don't have to worry about painting it. As you can see, it's very, well, you can see it in there if you look hard, but actually it's difficult to see where the patch is. But the good thing now, there is no wing wobble, so that's fixed it. At the back it didn't seem to break at all, so I was very fortunate. So I'm now waiting to do the next Maiden of the Spitfire. So hopefully we'll have a more successful maiden flight. So what went wrong? Crashed my Pride and Joy on its first flight. It didn't even have 10-15 seconds of flying time really, and that flight time was really untidy. So I was really annoyed with myself. But I wanted to know, was it my fault or something I'd done wrong in the build? So I watched the video again. That tends to be why I always video all my Maidens, just in case there's an incident. And I wanted to see what was going on. I had the AS3X auto stabilization on. You saw that when I was doing the checks. It all seemed to be working fine. So I hand launched it as you do, and normally the auto stabilization, when I pitch it up, it would level it and then off I go. When I watched the video back, as I threw it up in the air, it then proceeded to try and do a roll. And that shouldn't happen with AS3X. So I looked at the video in slow motion, and when I looked closely at the elevator was up. Now if the AS3X is working properly, the elevator should have been down at that point. So there was a good starting point to look at. Also, I wondered if the throws were perhaps a bit much. So I've reduced the movement on the servos for the ailerons and elevator. When I then looked at the settings for my S3X, when I was putting it back together last night, I realised I'd made a serious build error. I'd left the position of the receiver in the fuselage basically the wrong way round. So of course, if the nose pitches up, the receiver thinks it's going down, so it corrects and goes up. I changed it on the settings, tested it again, and this time I was a lot more thorough in checking the aircraft before I go and throw it literally out of my hands. And I can now confirm that the elevator, when the nose pitch up, it goes to the down position. When the nose pitches down, it goes to the up position. Whereas yesterday it was the opposite, and that's basically what caused the crash. I was very lucky to get away with just a small wing repair and not writing the whole aeroplane off. So a big lesson for me is Air 3X works great as long as you install it correctly, and I didn't.